from the global resources of ABC News with Cynthia McFadden in Detroit, Michigan, and Terry Moran and Martin Bashir in New York City. This is Nightline, January 14th, 2008.
Good evening. Tonight, after just 2 weeks of the new year, there are worrying signs that the American economy may be heading for recession. Trouble in the credit markets has already taken its toll on the big banks, but now it seems to have reached consumers. Just a few months ago, the #1 problem on voters' minds was the war in Iraq. But look at the picture today. The economy is now the public's primary concern. So here's the question. Is recession inevitable, or can we avoid it? Here's David Muir.
David Field is engaged to be married. The wedding is later this year. In the meantime, he's trying to get rid of his $9,000 credit card debt.
It's actually been pretty difficult.
He's a third of the way there, but like so many Americans, it hasn't been easy.
You're insuring 2 cars or 1? 2.
He's cut down on nearly everything, even his driving, as he tries to save money on gas.
When you're trying to make payments to your creditors and trying to get your minimum payments down, you're trying to get them out and make sure all your bills are on time, it's very difficult to keep up with prices rising everywhere.
The credit crunch is now hitting home. It's a domino effect that began with the big banks, now reeling from the hundreds of thousands of mortgages that have defaulted. They are the same mortgage loans that once seemed too good to be true. Now homeowners and the banks have learned they were.
I don't think anybody thought the market was going to tank as much as it has tanked.
This week, economists say 2 more banks, Citigroup and Merrill Lynch, will likely report one of their worst quarters ever. Tonight, the Wall Street Journal is reporting Citigroup could, as early as tomorrow morning, write off as much as $20 billion in bad loans, and thousands of workers could be laid off.
All of them are taking a body blow. That's what's surprising. You really don't see any bank that's doing well.
For some, the other shoe has already dropped. Credit cards, also a major source of revenue for banks, have become a major concern. That's because consumers have begun to fall behind. Capital One has reported a rise in delinquencies. Even American Express, known for its customer base with solid credit, has reported an increase in late payments. American Express reports it will take a $440 million hit because of it. The headlines have been ominous. Some warning, watch the consumer, as this economy flirts with recession. Some economists argue we're already in a recession.
I think we've been in one probably since before Christmas. It takes a couple quarters for that to work its way through the economy before there's any consensus as to whether or not we're in a recession. But if that's true, then I think we're going to be in one for the better part of 2008, maybe extending into 2009.
The Fed isn't forecasting a recession yet, but plenty of other forecasters are, including the former Fed chairman, Alan Greenspan.
The probabilities of a recession have moved up.
How will we know for sure? That, too, is up for debate.
We will not know when it started for a year or so after it's begun.
Many economists believe recession begins after 2 negative quarters of GDP, gross domestic product. Add to that rising unemployment and a slowdown in consumer spending.
We've had a big party over the last 5 years, and the hangover is going to take a while to get through.
Just today, Sears announced dismal fourth-quarter numbers after the holiday season. But economists say it's more than just the extras, the shopping. It's the basics, too. Remember David, who's trying to pare down costs? He's cut cable to keep up with his credit card bills. And his credit counselor says David is like thousands of other Americans trying to stay afloat during this credit crunch.
It's extremely bad right now. There's so many people that need our services, and frankly, we're overwhelmed.
And the increasing pressure on the consumer is not helped by the continuing slip in home values.
We haven't hit bottom yet. I mean, we're in a situation where home prices in this country are falling probably 10% over the next year. So you could very easily see another $50 to $150 billion of losses in the U.S. banking system from these loans that are held on a bank's balance sheet.
Citigroup will reveal its troubled spreadsheet tomorrow.
If we're lucky, it'll be a year when things bottom out and we can look for 2009 to recover. But I think people will just be happy to survive 2008.
As for David, he hopes to survive 2008 with his new bride and a new job, now a credit counselor himself. For Nightline, I'm David Muir in New York.
Worrying signs ahead. Our thanks to David Muir.